I remember back to 2014 when I started working at Duke, and my boss at the time was taking me to campus for the first time for meetings with people who he considered to be the most important people at Duke. And of course, I immediately assumed he was taking me to go see the then Chancellor for Health Affairs, Victor Zhao, or perhaps even the president of the university for Duke University at the time, Dick Broadhead. But he took me to see MaryAnn Black for the course of the next hour or so. I had the opportunity to talk to MaryAnn about not only her experiences at Duke and what makes Duke special to her, and why she was so passionate about what she did for Duke, but also we spoke about her passion for Durham County and her roots and what it meant to her to serve the people of Durham County in her capacity at the time working for Duke, and the kind of the collaboration between Duke and Durham and why that was so important to her. After leaving that meeting, I turned to Paul, my boss at the time, and I said, I understand now why you said I was going to meet the most important person at Duke. And he said, well, not only did you meet the most important person at Duke, but you met the most important person to Duke. And that really resonated with me. What MaryAnn meant to Duke, I think, was really evident to me when I would go to the summits, the healthcare summits in Durham County. And MaryAnn was the face of Duke to Durham. So many people in the community knew MaryAnn's passion for what she did for Duke and what she brought to Durham. And it was an honor truly to be associated with MaryAnn when she was in the Durham community, because people identified her, of course, as being part of the broader Duke community that served Durham County, but she had a special place in so many people's heart in that community. And so when she was there as Duke's representative, she really was so much more to them. She was the voice to Duke for a lot of people who felt at the time, or even sometimes to this day, that they didn't have adequate communication with the university or the health system. And her presence in the room often meant that Duke was there and listening. And that meant a lot to the people in the Durham community. MaryAnn handled herself with incredible grace and professionalism and commitment to cause. And I think that she did that in both her capacity in her role at Duke Health, but also as a member of the state legislature representing Durham County. MaryAnn never lost sight of why she was in office. And she was there to represent the people of Durham County. And she brought many of her experiences, of course, working for Duke Health, to her experiences at the legislature and kind of her guiding principles. But she always, whether it be through casual conversation or through some pretty intense advocacy efforts that I was engaged with when I was trying to convince MaryAnn to vote one way or the other, she would always look me in the eye and tell me, is this the right thing for me to do for the people of Durham? And that always resonated with me so strongly, because MaryAnn was so committed to the cause that she was involved with on behalf of the people of Durham County. Her being such an important part of the fabric of the Durham community, she had intense pride in saying that she was from Durham and represented Durham, because she has such a strong commitment to the people of the community. She understands what it means to be a resident of the county. She understands the challenges that are associated with certain parts of the county and certain populations, and how oftentimes that certain people in the county are neglected and need a voice to stand up for them. And MaryAnn was more than willing to, and really looked forward to being that voice for people who could not be heard. And so I think that, she really was proud, like I said, of being from Durham and representing Durham, and really made it personal that she was there representing the people who could not be heard. I saw her work as a social worker, her professionalism, or her profession, work into every aspect of everything that she did, whether it be through her service in the legislature or working at Duke. She always kept in mind how people would feel about a particular situation or circumstance or issue at the legislature, for example. MaryAnn always wanted to make sure that she was speaking for the people and making sure that she was representing and speaking for the people that couldn't be heard. And I think that in many respects that is reflective of her work as a social worker, because that's in large part what social workers do, is they connect with the community, connect with people, work with communities to make sure that their best interests are represented and protected. And when they're not, to stand up to be the voice that can represent those folks who aren't heard. MaryAnn has set the standard. I think that, unfortunately, with her not being here any longer, there's a tremendous void that we're all trying to fill right now in the community. But in doing so, we often have to keep in mind what MaryAnn meant to the community and how special she was, and try to live up to that standard that she set. And always remember that there are the people in Durham County who we are so closely connected to as members of the broader Duke community, and that we need to keep that in mind. And MaryAnn, without a doubt, had that at the top of mind for everything that she was involved with for the community. And it's something that I keep in mind as a representative on public face for Duke Health right now, that I need to live up to the standard that MaryAnn set. And I think so many of us who work directly with and in collaboration with the Durham community keep that in mind and have that as our guiding principle. MaryAnn was a mentor to me. I have been working in government relations for quite a long time in North Carolina, and MaryAnn, being elected to or being appointed and then elected to the legislature in 2017 and 18, although she was a freshman member and was new to the process, she brought me into her office on occasion. We had long conversations and long talks about how doing the right thing and making sure that every decision that we make, whether it be as a legislator or as an advocate in my capacity, was for the right reason. And that's a lesson that I think a mentor can only deliver, and words to live by. And every time that I would interact with MaryAnn and talk with her and think through complex issues sometimes, she would always leave me with the question of whether or not what we were doing was the right thing to do. And that's not something that I think everybody always has in mind at the top of their mind. And so in terms of lessons learned and mentorship and things of that nature, MaryAnn really left with me that I always have to keep as my guiding principle, whether or not what I'm doing and advocating for is the right thing to do for the people of Durham County and also for the people of North Carolina. With respect to complex, difficult issues in brokering compromise, MaryAnn never went into a meeting, a conversation, discussion, or a debate on a bill, for example, the legislature. She never went into any of those circumstances unprepared or with a predetermined outcome. MaryAnn listened a lot. She heard the perspective from different and sometimes competing interest groups or interests at the table. She thought thoroughly about each point of view. She read thoroughly about each point of view and came to her own conclusion. And I think that that's all you can really ask for, really, in a legislator, for example, is that he or she listens to you, consumes all the information, studies the issue, and makes a reasoned and judged approach or decision on the outcome of an issue. And MaryAnn was really excellent at that sort of approach, and really in many ways was unique in that regard. MaryAnn listened, and I think that really matters when it comes to finding resolution to difficult situations.